I haven't heard anyone say my name in 3 weeks. Not at work. Not at the coffee shop, where I go every morning. Not even when I called my mother 2 days ago. She answered the phone with, "Hello?" in that cautious tone people use for unknown numbers. I said, "Mom, it's me." And there was this pause, this horrible stretching silence before she said, "I'm sorry. Who is this?" I hung up. I didn't know what else to do. It started small. So small I almost didn't notice. A month ago, I went to pick up a prescription at the pharmacy I'd been going to for 5 years. The pharmacist looked at my ID for a long time, longer than normal, and then looked at me with this confused expression. She typed something into the computer, frowned, typed again. Finally, she handed me the bag without saying anything. No, "Have a good day, Sarah," like she usually did. Just the bag, and a look I couldn't quite place, like she was trying to remember something she'd forgotten. I should have paid attention to that look. 2 weeks later, my boss called me into his office. He asked me how long I'd been with the company. I told him 4 years. He nodded slowly, checking something on his computer screen, and said, "Right, of course." But his face said otherwise. His face said he was looking at a blank page. He dismissed me with a wave of his hand, and I noticed he never used my name once during the entire conversation. Neither did anyone else for the rest of the day. I started testing it. Small things at first. I'd introduce myself to the barista at my usual coffee shop, the one who'd been making my order for 2 years. She'd smile politely, write something on the cup, but when I looked, it was just a scribble. Not my name, not anything, just a line. When she called out orders, she'd point at mine instead of saying my name. Everyone else got their names called, just not me. I checked my driver's license, obsessively. The name was still there. Sarah Mitchell. Born March 15th, 1991. But when I showed it to people, they'd look at it like they were reading something in a foreign language. Their eyes would slide right off it. I went to my apartment building and checked the mailbox directory in the lobby. My name was still listed next to apartment 4C, but it looked faded somehow, like old ink. I ran my finger over it, and some of the letters smudged. When I pulled my hand away, there was black residue on my fingertip, and the letters looked even fainter than before. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about being forgotten, about fading. I Googled things like, "Why don't people remember me?" and "Am I invisible?" and found nothing useful. Just articles about social anxiety and feeling overlooked. But this was different. This was concrete. This was my mother not recognizing my voice. I decided to visit my childhood home the next day. My parents still lived there, in the same house where I'd grown up. I had a key. I let myself in. The house smelled the same coffee and vanilla candles and that specific smell of old wood that I'd known my entire life. I walked through the living room, looking at the photos on the wall. There was my brother's graduation photo, my parents' wedding picture, a family portrait from when I was 12. Except I wasn't in the family portrait anymore. My brother stood alone between my parents. No gap where I should have been. No strange empty space. Just him. Like I'd never existed. I ran to my old bedroom. It was a guest room now, painted a soft gray instead of the purple I'd chosen when I was 16. The desk where I'd done my homework was gone. The bed was different. There were no traces of me anywhere. My mother found me standing in the middle of the room. "Can I help you?" she asked, and her voice was polite but firm. The voice you use for strangers who've broken into your house. She didn't recognize me. Her own daughter. I could see it in her eyes. She was looking at a stranger. I left without saying anything. What could I say? I started documenting everything. I took photos of my ID, my birth certificate, my college diploma. I wrote my name over and over in a notebook, Sarah Mitchell, Sarah Mitchell, Sarah Mitchell, like I could anchor myself to reality through repetition. But when I looked at what I'd written an hour later, the words seemed less solid somehow, more like suggestions of letters than actual letters. The apartment started changing too. Small things. A photo of me and my best friend from college disappeared from my fridge. Then another. My name tag from my first job, which I'd kept in a drawer, gone. I tore the apartment apart looking for these things, but they'd vanished completely. Not fallen behind furniture or gotten mixed up with other items. Just gone. I called my best friend, Jessica. We'd known each other since freshman year. She didn't answer the first 3 times. When she finally picked up, I could hear the annoyance in her voice. "Look, I don't know who this is, but you need to stop calling me," I said. "Jess, it's Sarah, your roommate from college. We lived together for 3 years." She was quiet for a moment, and then she said something that made my blood turn cold. "I lived alone in college. I've never had a roommate." I hung up and looked at myself in the bathroom mirror for a long time. I was still there, still visible, but something about my reflection seemed uncertain, like the mirror wasn't quite sure what it was supposed to be showing. That's when I understood. I wasn't disappearing. I had already disappeared. All of this was just the aftermath, the reality settling into place without me in it. Time adjusting itself, erasing the hole I'd left behind. People's memories rewriting themselves so there was never a gap, never a missing person, never a daughter or friend or employee who'd stopped existing. I was watching the world forget me in real time. But here's the thing that keeps me awake at night, the thing I can't stop thinking about. If I've already disappeared, if I'm already gone, then what am I? What is this thing that still brushes its teeth and drinks coffee and writes words that fade away? What remains when you've been erased from every life you've ever touched? I checked my ID again this morning. The photo is still there, but the name field is blank now. Just empty space. My birth certificate has the same empty line where my name should be. Even the notebook where I wrote my name 1,000 times, every page, is blank. I'm sitting in my apartment now, watching the sun set through the window. I can feel it happening. My memories are starting to feel less concrete. I'm forgetting my own childhood, my own face. Soon I won't remember that I was ever anything at all. But there's one thing I need you to understand. One thing I need to tell someone, anyone, before it's too late. I'm not the first. There are others like me. I can feel them. People who've been erased, who exist in this strange in-between space, still conscious, but forgotten. We're all around you, sitting next to you on the subway, standing in line behind you at the store.